Hi everyone, introduce myself, my name is Paul Albertsen. I'm here with my mate Tom. This is the first edition of the Valhalla podcast. I've come up with this podcast after a lot of thought, and I've also done a few other podcasts previously with a good friend, Neil Samworth. He's an author of the Strange Ways book, and he's also an ex-officer, 10 years experience. We did a four podcasts regarding prison, all kind of prison life. Most about Forest Bank, where I worked. I was a prison officer there for 15 years. I went through the ranks of working with young offenders, worked in segregation reception through a senior role, and then I went to work I got my position on the wings. Worked through there, got a role as an orderly officer, and dealt with tons of stuff of all sorts of prison life regarding self-harm, use of force issues, deaths in custodies, incidents of height, hostage situations, anything really pertaining to prison and prison life. So after I did those podcasts, I thought, and speaking to Tom, he's got all the equipment here and he's helped me out with all the technical stuff because I'm absolutely useless at it. And getting feedback as well from a lot of people, the colleagues that I used to work with, have got hold of me on Facebook, Instagram and whatnot, and give me a lot of support from the podcasts I've done. So I thought I'd try and give it a go myself. It's going to be a light-hearted look, really, regarding... We're going to start it off really about prison life, any issues, but we'll go from there and see how it works, really. Tom's going to help me out with that, aren't you, mate? And then we'll see where we go, really. There's a lot of interesting people, and probably not people who have actually been in jail or actually people that have worked in prisons as well. It's kind of looked at as people are very interested in it and what goes on. There's been a couple of programmes recently that have highlighted that. There's a Stephen Graham one that's been on, and I think this was one started this week as a comedy. It's on Channel 4, I think. I think it's called Screws or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that,
Yeah, so that looks quite good. So we'll have a little look at that, maybe talk about that during the upcoming podcast and see how relative it is.
Yeah, and we're going to have a few guests on as well, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to have spoke to a few people that I used to work with in Forest Bank, and they're interested in coming on. They're going to be telling their stories of what happened to them and funny things maybe, or serious situations that they probably can make light of now, that were serious incidents at the time. A lot of people that have left for various reasons, whether they've been let go, for want of a better word, lost their jobs for a number of reasons. A lot of the times, Forest Bank and the management that dealt with them, I know a lot of people that left just by doing the jobs and they got sacked, which I've seen countless times. So there's a few people that are going to come on that are interested, and we'll have a good laugh, and hopefully people that have worked in Forest Bank over the years will be interested in it and hopefully tune in.
Or even people that haven't, like myself.
Yeah.
Obviously when we met, I didn't know the full situation of what was going on.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting for people like me who didn't really know the ins and outs of what had went on. We found out later.
Yeah.
Through watching the podcast. So
that's right, yeah.
It'd be good if we could have a look at how it was for you, sort of having to live sort of a double life whilst everything was going on in the background. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, as Tom's touched on that, I've not even really said. Probably the interesting thing about me that I worked in Forest Bank, as I say, I worked in quite a high position of trust. And unfortunately for myself, I let myself down, and I actually got arrested in, what we on now, 2018, I think, when I was still in my position at Forest Bank. I got arrested for theft of computer games, DVDs, from the industries area of the jail. Stupidly, I've only got myself to blame for that. There's no excuses. So I actually got arrested in 2018, lost my job. That's when I went to work with Tom. I moved back to the Wirral, and then I got a job working with Tom, and he took me under his wing, working for an engineering company, wasn't it? Well, classics engineering. Yeah, and maintenance. I was absolutely useless at it, but Tom helped me out, and we got a good friendship from that. But yeah, so I got arrested, and it took 2.5 years for it to actually come through. So it was a long time for going to court a few times and
a lot of stress.
And
even not knowing your situation, you could see that.
Yeah.
You could see the toll it was having on you at the time.
Yeah, it was a lot because I just wanted it out the way, and it just kept getting adjourned, and COVID come up as well, so that had an impact on the court system. So long story short, I ended up getting sentenced myself in February of last year. Now it was. I got 7 months. Well, I got 15-month sentence. And you do half of that, so I ended up serving 4 months in HMP Lincoln. I did a week in HMP Walton in the block there first, and then they moved me out of area because obviously ex-prison officers are not really looked at that greatly in jail. So I got moved. Me and my mate who I also work with. We got sent to HMP Lincoln. We did 4 months there, which wasn't the greatest, but we'll touch on that a bit later. Yeah. So yeah.
We'll go over the whole story as well. Obviously, there's versions of it in other people's podcasts, but it'd be good if we got your uncut.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll do that now. Because I say it's hard. I'm probably, unfortunately, one of the only few prison officers that have actually had a lot of experience on one side of the door having keys, and then having experience on the other side of being a prisoner. So I've got both viewpoints, and I've seen both sides to that. And obviously, being an officer, you have a sort of blinkered look about prison, and you get used to it and callous to it, and you just look at prisoners as a name and number. A lot of the times, I mean, it's not always like that, but sometimes you just that's just the way it is. But having the other side of it as well, it gives you some perspective, really. And hopefully, as I say, this podcast will open a few people's eyes. And as I say, we got the website now running, Valhalla Podcast. It is on Instagram, it is on Twitter. My name's Paul Albertsen, so you can get hold of me on those. And also as well, maybe in the future, we'll have ex-prisoners on who have actually spent time in jail, maybe even in Forest Bank, and seeing what the viewpoints of that, as well as families or people have got people inside and they want a bit of advice that they're not getting. As I say, get hold of me on my website, and we can discuss that when we do future podcasts. So yeah, that's a bit of backstory from me. As I say, Tom's the man who's helped me out with all this. Hopefully, if people are interested and like it, then we'll do more. That's the plan.
And even get us onto Spotify and Apple Play, stuff like that, so people can just listen along if they don't want to watch.
Yeah, that's it.
Especially like us with the long drives and stuff. I know I always had a podcast on in the background. So.
Yeah, and I'm non-stop listening to stuff. And as I say, the amount of people that have gone through Forest Bank, because over 15 years I've seen so many people come and go, staff-wise, and they've left, and you forget, you just forget how many people you work with. So hopefully there's going to be a sort of an already market there for people that want to listen to on it, and when other people come onto it that have worked there as well, we'll tell some stories and we'll have a laugh, and hopefully people will find that funny and remember, as well as it's a hard job, there's been some funny times and good times, so hopefully people get a bit of a kick out of it.
Yeah, and even people who've never been involved in prison on the inside or as a guard, people like myself, it's an interesting story to listen to. Yeah,
no, that's definitely, that's the way we're going, hopefully. Right, yeah, so that was the first sort of introduction for people, just giving a bit of backstory about me and what we're hoping to achieve with the podcast. The next part of it will be the full story, really, of myself, for anybody that knew me working there, or for, as I say, people that don't and are just interested. So the next podcast the next part will be the story of myself and the past of what I did in Forest Bank as an officer, and ultimately where I went in Lincoln and doing that part of being in jail and how I felt, really. So that's the next part what we're going through, and I hope everyone will enjoy it.
And make sure, if you are watching, you hit the like button so you get some good feedback for the video, and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you know when the next part is out.
That's what you're here for.
That's what I'm here for. Just a plug, guys. Throwing a little advert at the end.
That's the one.
That's it.